According to Mythos, 100% of you are subscribed. Good job!
Alrighty then. Welcome to the second part, where we will be going over the lore of every single equation that has been found within the new equations in the Protean Hero before they leave. Today, we're going to be going through the Nihility and the Hunt, and the reason why these two are together is because I just genuinely like these two paths, gameplay-wise, and I have a bias. So they will be together, because I just want them to be together. As always, it's a lot of fun to learn about the lore of Amphorius and Honkai Star Rail as a whole. The way that we do these videos, at the very beginning of every equation, you'll be able to see the entire lore of it, so you can pause and read it yourself. And after, it'll start being read by me in chunks, so you can more easily digest it. So, with all that being said, I hope you enjoy the video and let us move forward. Black Tide's Decrepit Bow. I reclaimed half my life from that wretched black tide, but lost another half of it. Let my warning save yours. Beware the decrepit bow. It was once a proud kin of strife, but its golden blood has been corrupted. With cursed arrows in hand, it slaughters every living being in sight. The withering bow shrieks as it fires arrows that never miss. Comrades die there and then, and I've been wounded too. As I escaped from the abomination, black blood trickled from my wound. This wound will never heal, and shall devour my life. I know not how much longer I have to live, as I await heaven's will. Perhaps that shot of arrow had already carved the ending in destiny. Right, so I really like the fact that this equation has the same name as the literal enemy within Star Rail, you know, the Black Tide's Decrepit Bow, and it sort of gives a bit more insight of how people perceive this entity. It's like sort of like mini lore blurb. It mentions how its bow is imbued with a curse. So now seeing what the effects of this curse are within a person is both horrifying but really interesting. Wicker School. This school of thought was never recognized by the Grove of Epiphany. It all began on a whim, when someone in the Holy City proposed the first formula. I don't want to move a muscle. And so, he spent an utterly ordinary day. Then came the second day, and the third. Each day, he lay on the street, whether eating or sleeping. When people asked about his reason for doing so, he proposed the second formula. One should be like an empty basket, never carrying too much. He kicked over an empty basket, and some praised his wisdom. Gradually, the one person lying on the street became many, spending their days chatting and basking in the sun, pursuing nothing else. Until one day, without warning, they all dispersed in different directions. When asked why they no longer chose to lie idle, a basket must carry something after all. The founder replied, with a smile. Okay, this one I found to be kind of interesting, because I genuinely thought it was going to be just a faction of beggars. You know, they found out how to like live without doing anything, so they were just going to exist like that, but it actually was kind of interesting. I sort of see this as like the saying of like, a rolling rock gathers no moss. Like, yeah, they were staying idle, reaping benefits, but now they don't need to, so they're just gonna make the most of what they have. I don't know, that's at least how I saw it. Leviathan of the East. No sailor has ever been untouched by the legend of the Kraken. The beast lurks in the eastern depths, enormous, many-tentacled, dim-witted, and cruel. It crushes passing ships with its tentacles, not even sparing the birds in the sky. Some say it's Fagusa's malice incarnate. Others claim its kin to the sea sirens. The only certainty is that this creature lacks a brain. With a memory shorter than a fish's, it destroys everything in sight. One day, the Lord of Pearly Shores assembled a fleet. Hunters set sail eastward, swearing to make the monster pay blood for blood. But when the fleet arrived, the eastern seas were all calm as a mirror. They found only the Kraken's corpse, sinking into the abyss alongside fish bones and debris. It wasn't hunting that killed it, but self-destruction. Honestly, I was so hyped when I read the term Leviathan, because, we have like the whole Aeon of Veracity, which is a Leviathan, and Leviathans are like somewhere in the world, but we haven't seen them, even though I think there's like only very few left. But this is definitely not that. That being said, the fact that this ginormous creature died only because it didn't realize it was eating itself is kind of both horrifying but like insanely cool. Nether Longship. Wayworn traveler, will you brave our longship? This salt-crusted relic ferries all wayward souls home. Hewn from Idonia's unrodden withered trees, sails tough beyond comparison, and even once received a certain titan's blessing. We once trailed Castrum Kremno's warpath, plucking refugees who had lost to their homeland. We've surfed to the roaring waves of the black tide, netting thousands of innocent lives from drowning depths. Brace yourself, the longship steers. May Thanatos summon the wind from the nether realm, for we come seeking their audience. So this one's interesting, because I genuinely thought when I was reading this that it was actually somebody going out of their way and helping people out. But then I forgot that this is, from the path of Nihility, so it makes sense that all of this is related to death. So yeah, like after reading it, this makes more sense to be like a ship that's picking up the dead and sending them into the nether realm, sort of like how Charon is the ferryman of, the Greek mythos. This entity is just picking people that were, killed in battle or killed in areas that were tragic and just bringing them into the netherworld. Trickster Knight. Warriors of Kremnos have always valued glory. So sneaking and trickery are always considered shameful, despicable acts. Yet, there was one soldier who never faced his enemies head on. He either set elaborate traps beforehand or struck from the gutters. Some say he trained in Dolos. Others claim he was Zagreus' spy. But the battalion under his command always brought back news of victory. A colleague, fed up with his ways, challenged him to a duel, but he changed the terms to an archery contest, with arrows aimed at oneself. Terrified by this bold proposal, the challenger asked him to demonstrate first. He calmly pulled the trigger. The bolt grazed his cheek and embedded in the wall. Sorry, I missed. Okay, this one I found to be pretty interesting because I love the idea of somebody from Castrum Kremnos just going against the quote-unquote code and just doing what would be objectively smarter, a tactician play to beat enemies. The end was a bit confusing to my brain, but I sort of understood that he's essentially tricking the other guy to execute himself through the process of the challenge. That is what I understood. Which, it's very morbid when you put it like that, right? Oh, also, the other thing I really like about this equation is the mention of Dolos, since We've always been told that it is very rogue slash thief coded.
Orphaned Daggers. Some children are unfortunately born as tools for vengeance. Orphaned Daggers, they're called. A name that breathes fear into everyone's hearts. Poison vials for teething rings. Daggers for bedtime tales. They inherited the skills of Amphorius's finest assassins. Taught until they were bought by schemers for dangerous, dirty work. After all, what lord would fear an innocent child? Utilizing this weakness, blades kissed necks like feathers. When the guards came to their senses, they found 2 corpses. One of which was the child themselves. For this was why they had prepared the poison vial. With their target perished, their existence no longer held any meaning. That was massively depressing. That is, I feel like, all I want to call. That is just like so messed up. Winged Tiger. Hold your steps, young hunter. Yonder woods aren't our hunting grounds. In this forest of bones, predators become prey. The one-armed tiger is last of its line after mankind's massacre. It cheated death and won Circe's gifts, wings veined with wisdom. Cremnoan soldiers armored by gold, bellowing songs of war. Ladon rangers, their arrows dripping with venom. Chill beasts to marrow. The tiger bathed soldiers into bottomless pools, their golden armor sinking swiftly in the glacial waters. It cloaks itself in fog to dodge arrows, snapping the rangers' throats with a single bite. Hush! Footfalls crunch. The air reeks of vengeance. Run with all your might. The king of the forest begins its hunt.
Alrighty. Honestly, I really enjoyed going through this set of equations, which does remind me, if you would like to see more about the lore of the other equations that have been found within the Protean Hero, as well as dive back into the human comedy ones, please feel free to check out the playlists that are in this channel that go through those chapters, as it is always really insightful. And if you enjoy this sort of content and would like to support the channel, please feel free to hit that subscribe button or like the video, as it really does come a long way. Your guys' comments are always welcome and lovely to see, and I appreciate just being able to read through them. But back to the equations. Yes, a lot of them were kind of dark and depressive, but they honestly do leave you with a lot of like food for thought, which I genuinely do like. I really like the concept of the hunt being legitimately set on, you know, being cunning and actually being aggressive in this regards, while the Nihility ones are always very like nihilistic. Like, it is cool to go through, and if I was to speak about the equations that I liked, this would take way too long. So as a sort of like just TLDR of this segment, the Nether Longship was, I think, my favorite one. Being able to see how, you know, there's like the whole process of like Charon taking people to the afterlife was, you know, very interesting. The Orphaned Daggers, incredibly depressing, but again, just world building wise, it's really cool that this concept existed, even if again incredibly messed up. And the Trickster Knight might just be the one I loved most, because just having somebody in Castrum Kremnos, again, the whole, oh, you better to die in glory than like live without purpose or whatever, like the motto was, just
having this guy be like, nah, screw glory, I'm just gonna win. It was like, it was just perfect to see, and I loved seeing that. So yeah, with all that being said and done, thank you for reaching up to this point into the video. As always, feel free to drop down in the comments below, which equations have you found to be more interesting, or what your takes on these are. As always, it's just really cool to see what your guys' point of view perspectives are. And I love going through all the comments, and I do try to reply to all, if not as many of them as possible, even if it takes me a bit of time. But again, it's just great that this community is able to just communicate and like share their thoughts openly. That is one of the things that I love about YouTube, in all honesty. So yeah, I hope you're having a good day, night, morning, or whatever time zone you're currently watching this video at. And also, Happy Lunar New Year to you all. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.